Mitch McConnell puts his second stimulus check up for a vote today in the Senate. So will it come out extra crispy, original recipe, or will it taste like the cafeteria food at the Temple of Doom? Hey, good morning, everybody. It's a Thursday morning. You already almost made it to the weekend. It's Throwback Thursday. I'm here, you're here, and congressional leaders will be in the Senate today to vote on a second stimulus bill. Exciting news as we start a Thursday morning on Mornings LALATE every day at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I really appreciate you for joining me. If this is a day to like and subscribe to this channel, go ahead and do it. It's part of the 3.5-hour programming schedule every day here on LALATE. Butter that toast, get that coffee brewing, and get ready. As I start here on Thursday morning, we certainly have better lighting than yesterday that made me look like an extra for the Temple Doom. I was like auditioning as a vampire in yesterday's bad lighting. Well, today it's a little bit better, but unfortunately, there's smoke-filled skies here once again in Los Angeles as fires continue to broom, even though temperatures are dropping. In Washington, there'll be big developments today about a second stimulus check vote from the Republicans. More about that in a second. Next, economic data came out minutes ago that is not reassuring about where this economy is going, but it's good news to get the second stimulus deal done. Third, there's big talk still about executive order to get your second stimulus checks out by Donald Trump. And finally, I detailed last night why it's highly likely that executive order from Donald Trump for LWA 2.0, not FPUC 2.0, is looming as well. As we start the day, first a couple of national news. Fires continue to broom in the West. In California, they announced the end of Halloween season. There will be no door-to-door Halloween trick-or-treating this season in major cities because of COVID-19. Tonight at 5:20 Pacific Standard Time, Texans versus Chiefs head to NBC to start the NFL season. And in Europe, the stage 12 of the Tour de France continues today with Roger in the yellow jersey, Burnett in the green, and then finally Costanova in the polka dot, King of the Mountain, and finally Bernal in the young jersey. They're going from Chauvenet to Saran Correns. All right, so let's get to the incredible news today. A major vote is brewing today, no less than, really, what has it been, 48 hours since Mitch McConnell, Senator and Majority Leader of the Senate, introduced a new bill. That new vote will come up today. The question is whether the vote really means anything to you. Let me give you the details because it's not particularly clear. Today's vote will be in the Senate. This is half the Congress in the Senate, and it will be on the bill that Mitch introduced this week. He needs a majority of 51 to get approval and to pass the vote, to pass the Senate. If it gets a 51-person vote, it does not become a law. I want that to be very clear because I had that problem when we were a smaller channel and things were passing in the House and people said, oh my God, it's a law. No, it's not a law. It just passed in the Senate. So a 51-person vote means it passes in the Senate. However, it needs 60 votes to overcome a filibuster and pass the Senate, and the Republicans may only have 53 senators, and some of those senators have already indicated, Republicans, that they may not even vote for the bill. Why is the vote important today if the bill is so messed up? The vote apparently is still very important because ultimately it causes the parties to negotiate over the Heels and Heroes agreement. And that is the only purpose that this is being done by Mitch McConnell. It's not a purpose I necessarily agree with, but that's why it's being done. The vote today is upon a bill that includes an extension of FPUC to December 31st at $300 a week, retroactive, and would go on top of anything you have not gotten from LWA. All right, so that's that. Next, big developments continue to broom over whether President Trump will exert his executive authority to issue second stimulus checks to millions and millions of Americans desperately in need, and also issue his executive authority to send out LWA 2.0. I was really the first one to detail the nuances of what's going on, because on Friday, the president revealed he has $300 billion in money sitting around. I revealed shortly thereafter, only on this channel and nowhere else, that I have been able to locate upwards of maybe an additional $200 billion on top of that, which could bring it to at least $500 billion, if not $600 billion, which would compensate enough to cover both stimulus checks and another round of LWA 2.0. How does this work? How would you see this? And when could this happen? First, the viewers of this channel have a lot of opinions, and I love to hear your opinions, so drop them in the comments of this video especially. When do you think the president would exert executive authority? Most of the viewers over in the last 2 days have said he always does it on the weekends, so everyone's watching this weekend. They're watching for Friday, and they're watching for Saturday. Next, viewers of this channel and I universally agree that the president does executive authority when everything has been really teed up. So when you see these executive orders, it looks like they've been worked on for weeks. It's not some run-of-the-mill thing. And he usually gives you a tip-off that he's doing something ahead of time. Well, that tip-off came last Friday. That tip-off came last Friday when he identified $300 billion of CARES Act 1 money. What's very important to understand is that this is money that is not in the Treasury, so as a result, he does not need an act of Congress to send it out. It's money sitting in some federal agency dedicated for CARE 1, the first stimulus package, and was not used and can now be sent out for this purpose. Where would it go? How would it go? I've been getting a lot of questions about that. Let me explain a little bit simply. An example would be something like this. It may be the $300 billion is in the last round of PPP, which is actually the prediction I think is where it is, but that's purely speculative. That it's in PPP money, that it's unaccounted for money that people just didn't want. It's sitting there. It's currently at SBA because PPP, the last round, was created by an act of Congress and said send the money from Treasury to SBA, put it in SBA's bank account for this round of PPP, let it sit there. PPP has now expired. That round is gone. They can't apply. They can't get the money anymore. And so it's just sitting there. Who would send out the money? The agency that has the money. And so in this scenario, this example, just an example, it would be SBA sending out the money. Some viewers had really, really great comments. How would they know where to send it out to? They can work with another agency like IRS to give them the information to how to send it. If you're on SSDI, SSI, Social Security, and Railroad benefits, they would have that information, IRS, and they would route the money to you in the same way that you receive your normal benefits. If you are on if you pay your taxes electronically, same thing. Next, let's say the president exerts executive authority. How soon would you see the money? About 10 days thereafter by electronic means, and add an additional week thereafter. So it could be very, very quick. Next, what would the second stimulus check look like? Well, you know, it's really hard to read the tea leaves on this, but I'm really going to default to the last proposals by this president and by the Republicans, which are $1,200 stimulus checks for individuals, $2,400 checks for a married couple. A family of 4 appears to be where Republicans like to stop, or a family of 5. The president floated that number $3,800, I believe it was, or $3,400, I'm so sorry, $3,400 recently, which looks like $2,400 plus 500 plus 500. That brings you to 3,400, or 3,900 if you add another child. If I'm doing the math really quickly on camera, add another child. So it looks like the president would be inclined to do dependents, adult and minors at $500 stimulus checks. Child support. What would happen with child support? Really hard to say. The HEALS Act, written by Mitch McConnell, which the president later called an irrelevant bill and wanted to have nothing to do with it, called for child support to be taken out of the second stimulus check. Democrats did not want to take out for child support. I really don't know. It is possible and highly likely child support is not taken out from the bill, but you could from the executive order, but that you could get it on a local level. Generally, executive orders don't go into incredible details like that, like child support and complex details. So it is unlikely, possibly, that child support would be taken out of an executive order. All right, LWA, how would LWA 2.0 work? It would be really the same thing as before. The only difference is the money may not be in FEMA this time. It may be in another agency, and that agency sends out the money. FEMA's been really quite good in getting the money out quickly, so we hope the next agency is just as fast. SBA, by the way, is a very fast agency for sending out money when it has the money and it's ready to go. So understand, SBA is very, very good with something like that. That is how it would work. Would LWA 2.0 have that $100 threshold? Likely. LWA 2.0 is likely to look exactly like LWA 1.0. And there is highly likely going to be a movement, if the funds are there, as I'm reporting, that LWA 2.0 would look exactly like LWA 1.0 and just basically continue. Basically continue and say, this amount of funds are now appropriated and used for the executive order previously announced by the president. And let me make something sort of clear about this, because I've never said this to right now. There's a potential that he would not have to even do an executive order for LWA 2.0 because he's already done an executive order for LWA. He just has to refund it, and he does not need necessarily an executive order to fund money. If the money's sitting around, the money could potentially just be used for funding of LWA 2.0 without an executive order. But I mean, if I was him, I would just do another executive order. It just looks simpler and cleaner. So that is the incredible great news as we sit here today. When would we hear this? And how soon would he hear? Well, I detailed last night my personal opinion. It is not a fact. It is not a statement of current facts or evidence. It is my personal opinion that he really has to get this going in like about the next few weeks, because at some point it doesn't make any sense for him to do it. There is a political purpose to doing it. There's an economic purpose to doing it. And there is a cohesiveness to do it. And at some point, you're either going to do it or not going to do it. It's like, stop it already, get on it and get to it, darn it. Otherwise, zip it. I mean, it's just, yeah, I'll say that to the president. It's like, zip it. I mean, either send out the stimulus checks or stop talking about it. And it looks like it's sort of about at that point right now. Now, is this vote today something to do with stimulus, some impact upon executive orders? Boy, my reporting is no. The stimulus bill being voted today is $700 billion. It's not $500 billion. That's the first thing. Second, the amount of money needed for stimulus checks is about $300 billion. If you had $300 billion of stimulus checks put in the bill today originally, 2 days ago, that would put the bill at $1 trillion, a number absolutely that no person was ever going to do with this bill. So what really happened here? Were we just sort of fed false news by Mnuchin and Meadows, incorrect statements by all of them? It appears that we were, but it's always the possibility that something went awry. And ultimately, my issue is that the first stimulus package from Mitch McConnell, the HEALS Act, was introduced, and we were told it was drafted by him and Steve Mnuchin over 2 weeks. And then no less than 2 days later, the president disavowed it and said he had nothing to do with it. So it seems like the president wants to be involved with something that's really good and then doesn't want to be involved with something that's bad. Well, today's bill is not going to be good. So let's just understand, with that in mind, get ready for the president to disavow today's bill and potentially get ready to send out your second stimulus checks, which, ironically, most viewers of this channel in the comments have said they never thought the stimulus checks would be part of this bill and that the president would only be doing it by executive order, which is really quite interesting. All right, so the day started, if you were subscribed to this channel, which I hope you are, and you're liking this video, with new jobless numbers. Remember, Thursday is the day in which it starts with Labor Department releasing jobless numbers. What are these numbers? These are numbers of people who are newly, just this week, going on unemployment. These are people, and it's also first time going on unemployment. So if you were on unemployment before and you went off and you went back out, you're not on this number. These are new first time jobless claims. When the pandemic, right before the pandemic hit, the number was about 200,000 per week. It was the lowest since the Great Depression because unemployment was a great number, really an incredible great number. When the pandemic hit, it shot to 1 million jobless claims per week. It stayed at 1 million for 23 weeks approximately. Then it dropped to 900, then it went back up, and then it dropped again to about 8 something. Well, the number came in today and it got worse. It went back up. It still stayed in the 800,000 number range, but it actually went higher. It didn't go lower. It rose back up to 884,000. Wall Street had predicted it to go down to 850. New jobless total claims rose 93,000 for the first time filers to 13.38 million claims. California is the one that's being hit the worst, the new data reveals. 40% of California's labor force is unemployed currently this week. California had the highest rise nationally to 17,953 new claims, jobless claims in the last 7 days. California is getting smashed. It's not particularly clear why. If you don't know, in things like in restaurant dining are somewhat open in some counties, other counties is closed. California has been hit by ravaging fires. It's been hit by a lot of natural disasters. That could be contributing as well to the number. But when we talk about labor force, that means the number of people who were employed before this pandemic hit. It says that it's labor force, people who are normally employed, are now at 40% unemployment, which is just insane. This is also considering the seasonality adjustment number. PUA, which I deal every day on at about 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, showed new claims at about 90,000 last week to 883,000. Just insane. Let's turn to another factor. New news report today says that Target's going to add more jobs, but wants those jobs to be representative of black employees across its workforce 20% over the next 3 years. Big box retail has been under fire for not employing enough minorities, and now Target is dealing with the situation. Its workforce of 350,000 employees skew white, especially among top executives. 75% are white, 8% are black, based upon 2019 data. So now Target is pledging to increase black employees among its workforce by 20% over the next 3 years. Boy, a lot of developments. LWA 1.0 continues to impress, but also continues to confuse. And I got to tell you, here's a personal note. I'm trying to figure out a best way to get a communication level between you and I on unemployment. Our unemployment video is on afternoons LALATE. It's not the first video at 3:30, which is check. It's not the second video, which is hazard pay. It's the third video, which is at 4:30. And I gotta tell you, it once was a very well-watched video, and every week is every day sort of flounders on traffic, compared to the other videos, which are, incredibly popular. But whether it's Twitter or Instagram, nearly 99.99% of questions currently today are still about unemployment, which causes me to wonder, are people watching the video, or is the video not comprehensive enough for you? If you have comments to where you would like more coverage of unemployment assistance, or if you'd like it to be moved to a different time slot, certainly drop them in the comments below. I'm trying to help as many people as I can, but it's a little perplexing that some of the questions I'm getting are actually being covered in the videos. So I'm wondering if this is an old EIDL situation where people say, how do I do Vantage 3.0 score? And I'm like, I've only done 2,000 videos about Vantage 3.0. As we confront a Thursday morning, we're talking about LWA 1.0. There's a couple things to understand. every state is doing different processing time for different people. So I have people in California who are paid 3 weeks at $900. I have people who are paid 2 weeks at $600, and I have people who are paid nothing. It doesn't mean you're not getting money, and I have a lot of viewers sending comments about, I haven't got anything. Am I in trouble? Is there something wrong? Why haven't I got any money? Just stay calm. These computer systems and these states just process things at different times. So I literally have people at different times in different places getting money, even in the same state. What you need to understand and know is the following. The earlier states are paying 6 weeks. The later states are paying 5 weeks. No one is paying 4 weeks and no one's paying 3 weeks. There's the potential to pay 7 weeks. Next, what they're doing with these payments is that they are giving you the amount of payments up to the present so you're caught up to date. So, and they are doing retroactive. So they're doing it back and then bringing you up to date. So some states, for example, are sending out a first payment of 3 checks, $300, $300, $300. Then what they're doing is next week they're sending you out the next check for $300 here at week 4, and then after that the next check after that at week 5 for $300. Please understand that if you get a deposit of $600, don't assume that that's the end of your LWA 1.0. I just think it's so obvious, but I'm getting a lot of questions about the same situation, so stay calm. Always go into your portal and look into the payment tab for processing. Certify for benefits. Continue to certify for benefits. If you don't certify for benefits, you won't get payment. But with that, it's all very, very clear and straightforward. Coming up this afternoon on Afternoons LALATE, I will have a lot of details. It'll be a big day because today is the vote. So I will monitor that vote. That will be at 3:30 with the check. Next is hazard pay at 4 o'clock as protests continue across the country and labor workforces continue to walk off of the job because of the failure of businesses to pay hazard pay on a private sector, but also be covering the federal hazard pay bill as well. Then at 4:30 is unemployment. If you have unemployment questions, jump into that video. I will be answering as many as I can. I'll be covering UI, PUA, LWA, and FPUC along with FPEUC, the extension of UI benefits. And then finally, the video after that is rent, which also includes eviction moratoriums and mortgage forbearance. Then at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time is Evenings LALATE. For Eastern Standard Times, just add 3 hours to the time schedule, and if you're in the Midwest, add 2 hours. And with that, boy, go to the front of the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you subscribe to this channel, there should be a little red button next to your name. That means you're subscribed. If you've subscribed but you still don't see it, go into the pinned comment, which is the first comment to this video by me, that shows you a link to how to fix being subscribed or unsubscribed. It basically involves you unsubscribing and resubscribing, and then you'll see the little pin. Additionally, if you are a person who comments a lot and gets a lot of hearts, that the little as in heart, you will get a purple icon next to your name. There's a couple viewers now who have now gotten purple hearts next to the name because they are top commenters. So see if you can be one as the same. Also like this video. That is the thumb on the front of this video. It helps in the algorithm. Yesterday's morning's LALATE video with the incredibly bad lighting that made me look like a vampire had 15,000 likes. So that was greatly appreciated. So like this video so this video appears higher in the rankings. We've been doing really, really well the last 48 hours. And if we get to 250,000 subscribers by the end of tonight, I will release unseen footage you have never seen about a 100th anniversary special. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.